Okay, let's take a look at a 9-mark question. This one is on the link between the introduction of flexible working and labour productivity. Here's the question on screen. Analyse how the introduction of flexible working might improve the labour productivity of a business. 9 marks. And as always, try to unpick the demands of the question. The start point, what the question is about, is flexible working. And our argument or arguments need to get to how and why they might impact labour productivity. So that's the end point for our argument or arguments. How many do we need? Well, it's singular. The question says analyse how. So we just need one to meet the demands of that question. And the wording that we have to focus on here is how it might improve labour productivity, specifically the situation where flexible working is being introduced. So we have to focus on improvement in labour productivity and nothing else. There are a variety of different points that you could raise to respond to this question. We only need one, so you might want to pause the video and have a think about what the different points could be, and then select what you think is a good point to develop and meet the demands of the question. I've put a couple, 2 or 3 on the screen here just to highlight how there are different ways of answering this question. One is that flexible working may make more labour available at times when it's needed, rather than when it's not needed. Also that you could make the case around the motivation line of argument. Flexible working may encourage employees to work harder because, for example, they feel they have a better work-life balance. Work is more in sync with all the other demands on their time. Or you could develop a point that says that flexible working, the introduction of it, might allow more employees to work more productively during the hours when they are most productive, and consequently they have less unproductive time. And that's the point that I decided to use as my example for a worked answer to this question. Again, you might want to pause the video and have a go at writing a paragraph yourself, and then when you want to, take a look and see what you think to this response here that's about to appear on the screen. Don't forget we use the pecan approach for our paragraphs, and because it's 9 marks we don't need any evaluation, so we just need a point explained, 1 sentence up to the first full stop. No application in that first sentence. State the point you're going to explain to the examiner and then follow that with your contextualized analysis. So PE, can, contextualized analysis, pecan. So our point here is that flexible working might allow more employees to work more during the hours when they are most productive with less unproductive time. So I'm going to try to use that point to explain that link between flexible working and improved labour productivity. So let's read through. An increase in labour productivity requires either greater output for the same input of labour resource and or less labour used for the same output. So I don't need to define labour productivity. Simply by explaining there what it is, I get the knowledge and understanding marks. But now I need to explain how and why flexible working might improve labour productivity. So a flexible working method such as working from home, WFH, might allow employees to spend more of their working time producing output rather than spending it unproductively, which should help a business make the most of their employee assets. For example, a marketing manager might be able to attend more meetings using Zoom or Teams rather than wasting time travelling to meetings on the train. Working from home might also enable employees to choose within guidelines which hours they find are most productive, for example, at productive times such as the early morning, rather than just after lunch when many people feel tired and are therefore less productive. So that argument explains how in this, and I use an example of flexible working from home, leads to people working more productively at times when it's more productive and also less lost time. And what I've done in the answer there is also highlight in red some examples of application, seasoned, contextualized, integrated into the analysis. And we've used some examples there. Our favourite, such as seasoning, so such as working from home, such as early morning as a productive time. And also application by simply making up an example to help illustrate the point being analysed. So we use that made up example of a marketing manager spending more time on Teams and Zoom rather than spending time maybe in the car or on the train, which might be less productive. There we go. Hopefully you think that's a decent answer. I reckon it's okay for level 3. Hopefully you've had a go at that question too.